Back on Leading Edge with the question, whatever happened to local radio? You know, the stations that broadcast your local games told you what your city or village council was up to, covered school boards, local civic activities. No two towns sounded alike because, hey, towns are different. Then came the consolidation of radio, with it a flood of syndication. Talented local radio hosts and reporters were shown the door, and that local information, hey, good luck finding that. Until now. These entrepreneurs have taken their talents, not to South Beach, but to the internet. Greg Pfeiffer right here runs Port Clinton Radio WPCR on the internet after earlier leading a broadcast company that served Fostoria Findlay. Keith Hodkinson is here. He operates SenecaCountyRadio.com, WTSC. He was an over-the-air morning man for Tiffin's Clear Channel station when we first met years ago. Mike Jamison, you probably know Mike around Toledo. He's a partner with Toledo Radio Sports, which airs lots of local sports. Again, all of this on the internet, and I find this fascinating, and as an old radio guy, I find it refreshing. What tells you there is a market for what you are doing?
Absolutely.
What tells you that?
We have just this week, Jerry, surpassed our 300th advertising account, and that's what fuels local radio, is advertising. But it's also the programming. We do, as you said, school board meetings, we do city council meetings, we do school closings, and we do local sports. And where else can you get that from the other stations?
What told you in Tiffin? Were the people saying, man, we miss what we used to have?
That's exactly what they were saying. They were saying that people were used to having, what Greg was saying, having the local news, the school closings, but being able to have that outlet for a nonprofit organization to be able to come and say, hey, we've got this event coming on, we need all the exposure, and they weren't getting it.
Mike, from your point of view, how has the reception been so far? I know you and I have emailed, we've talked from time to time, we've known each other forever, it seems. How is the reception to what you're doing out there?
Well, basically, I think what's happened is you've got a lot of people that are maybe not seeing their high schools on TV or on radio. They're not getting anything in. So when we come in there with our units and sit down, and grandmas and grandpas get to see their kids and hear them on the internet, they just absolutely love it, and it works out good because we get some money in for the boosters then too.
Okay, so I want to ask, obviously this is serving the public the way the public, I think it's what the FCC intended for local radio to do.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Our license said to serve the public interest, and what happened is, for years ago, that all stopped.
Yeah, we stopped serving the public. So, but are these going to exist now, these internet radio operations, as public service operations, or can you make a nickel, or a dime, or a quarter, or a dollar off this deal?
You can. You can, absolutely. And we've proven that you can. We're in a unique market with Port Clinton, the islands, Marblehead. We live on a 7-month economy. But we can do it, and we are doing it.
Tourism, recreation. There is no limit to your audience. It's not limited by how much power your tower's putting out. Some of you, give me some of the examples you've given me, Keith.
Well, we carry 2 streams of high school football on Friday night, so people can have their choice of 2 football games. One of the advantages of internet radio for advertising and for people listening is we can tell you exactly who's listening, where they're listening, how they got to us. And I know that every Friday night, last September and October, we had 2 people in Kuwait that were listening to Tiffin Columbian football every Friday night.
Static free,
crystal
clear, just like you down
CD
the
quality.
Definitely. That's just amazing stuff. How do you know how big your audiences are?
We use Google Analytics. Google provides a service that if you just put a code into that stream, we can tell exactly where they're from, down to the zip code, and how long they listened.
Wow. And that's what you can then turn around and take to your advertisers and say, you don't think people are listening to this? Check
Absolutely.
This out.
Arbitron is not that sophisticated.
No, nor is Nielsen,
No.
for what that's worth. All right, if I'm close to a computer at home or at work, I get it. All right, it's as easy as my radio, except like we say, with no static or signal fade, anything like that. But radio, whether it's over the air or via satellite, goes with me. So how do you address mobility?
Very easy. There's 2 ways. One, the reason why people are accepting us, it takes a while, is because of the fact that they can be unleashed from the PC. There are desktop units that you can have at home that look just like a clock radio, allow you to turn on, push your button, and there's your local station. But the new The last barrier for us is the car.
Right.
And we're able to use...
I don't have a computer. I mean, the computer runs my car down there, but I mean, how am I going to access you?
Internet radio.
Internet radio,
is
yes.
coming into cars now.
All the Wi-Fi setups now too.
You have a dash-mounted unit that's in your car.
Okay.
And you used to program it for whatever station you wanted
What
to and push the
frequency?
button,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Well, now you're going to program it for a web URL, a website, save it. You get in your car, you have your smartphone in your hand, you throw it on the seat next to you, you turn your radio on, the Bluetooth technology within your smartphone gets that unit on the air, and you listen to your car radio just like anywhere you are.
Are our former bosses as nervous as I'm sensing that they probably should be?
Absolutely.
Greg
But
says
Jerry, it
absolutely.
comes down to
Absolutely.
talent, though. It does come down to talent. And this is, you know, you've got the voice tracks and everything on the radio now. You've got talented people that have been in the business forever. Most of us have been taught by the old school people that, of course, we talk about Don King all the time. Don is a very
One of
good
our
friend
heroes.
of us.
Yeah.
And he taught us how to do sports, how to get on there and make it interesting to hear a commercial that maybe you're getting a few dollars for that commercial, but it's not piped in. You're talking about whatever that product is, and that's what people really, really like.
Chris Peterson wanted me to ask, how are these different or similar to podcasts?
We're live
live.
all the time.
We're live.
Live streaming. It's live just like an AM, FM radio station would be.
We do, and I know Greg does too, we do both. We carry a live signal 24 hours a day, local radio, local news, local public affairs, and then we isolate. Let's say we had a discussion this morning with someone from the city council. That then gets put onto our programs on demand, podcasting, and people can go back and we get hits, and I know Greg does too as well, every day, 60, 70, 80 hits a day of people that want to listen because they couldn't listen to it at 7:30 in the morning.
On their schedule, okay, is serving them on their schedule. Is there a danger? I mean, you don't have to go out and get an FCC license. You don't have to buy a transmitter tower and all that kind of good stuff. Is there a danger that with anybody able to, is anybody able?
Everybody is
Okay,
able.
Anybody can do it,
Is there a danger with anybody able to set up one of these internet stations? We might have a glut, if you will, making it difficult for any one to stay afloat.
There will be a lot of Wayne and Garths that are out there. Okay? I mean, no, there will be. There will be those people that have the Saturday night show that tells their friends, hey, listen to me, we're going to play all these old songs.
Yeah.
But the people that will make money and will succeed are the people that treat it like a professional radio station.
Wow. I worked in radio for years. It was my first love, as you guys know. I know what it takes. If you talked about being live all the time, if you really want to do, and I give some of our stations over the air, I still give them a play if they're actually still running disc jockeys. You know, perish the thought that it isn't just some voice from some other city. How do you? It's not inexpensive to staff a radio operation. So how do you go about doing it? How much staff do you have, and how do you deal with that?
Well, we have 8 on staff, and I'll be honest, Jerry, it started out with just me. And doing the news in the morning, doing the morning show, programming the commercials, that sort of thing. And we quickly added to that, and 4 years later now, we are at 8 people that we have on staff.
Okay. Running music? Tell me about that, because in radio stations you pay an ASCAP BMI license. You pay for those artists whose music you're using. Is that similar? Do you have
Absolutely.
to?
Yes. Do the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
The difference is, unlike the old days when we used to slip cue, I'm really giving my age away. See, Bob Kelly was sitting in this seat last week, and we started talking about old-time radio. But from the days when we used to, start actual records and play them, it's all done on a computer. It's all loaded, and once you get it started, you don't have to physically manage it.
But the difference is,
Yeah.
it comes from our studios. The music is originating in our studios, which is unlike most radio stations today, which is it's all fed via a satellite or some other method. That's true. Ours are all originating from our locations.
Okay. Let's talk about the future. Where do you see this thing going?
Good question.
Mike?
Well, for us, we've actually kind of taken it all and put it all together. Of course, we do a lot of television work where we put our games on television with our video production company throughout the area with local cable companies. And then we also actually use our sports station here in town, ESPN, and actually do our live shows, some of our live shows on ESPN on the ticket.
Okay.
On Saturday mornings, our golf shows and things like
your
that.
golf show, yeah.
But they're actually picking up that feed off of our internet feed, and it works out wonderfully. And we get to have donuts and coffee, and I don't have to take a shower. I just go downstairs and my buds come over and we have a beautiful setup, and it sounds just like XM radio.
Well, and I think one of the
Wait,
things...
just for just a moment. The buds came over. I got a little Wayne and Garth going on there. But it's a great thing. You don't have to throw on the
Years and years of people that have been part of it, too.
If, let's say Greg has been elsewhere, he hasn't been at his Port Clinton station.
Yeah.
If Greg or I want to insert a newscast,
Yes.
or we want to be able to break into our local programming, we just need a PC. We need a laptop, and we need an internet connection, and Greg can break into his programming with the local news. He can be sitting in Hawaii, for that matter, and it sounds like you're right there.
That is fantastic. Well, I think it is getting back to what, as I said earlier, alluded to what we were all supposed to be doing as radio professionals, according to when they laid this all out, FCC-wise. Of course, they were limited by the number of signals that were out there, and the number of licenses that would be issued. So there'll be, I'm guessing, no shortage of these. What I'm hearing is the good ones that are actually serving their community and doing it professionally are the ones that are going to survive and serve. By the way, can we mention one that's coming to Sylvania? Because I talked to him last night.
Yes.
Friend of mine, Tom Brady. You all know Tom Brady. Put-in-Bay, Jet Express, that guy with the great voice.
He is actually starting a station, WSYL, and it will serve Sylvania and Sylvania Township. And I've been helping him and consulting him and getting him up and going, and it looks like July 1,
I
he'll
think
be
we're
on the air.
about the 1st of July. I'd watch for that story to be told on WTOL 11 News. I've been working with Tom about, hey, I want to tell you a story when it comes. That's a large populated area just west of town here. I think it's fantastic, guys. So again, just so you know, the easiest way to find you, if we just Google search Port Clinton Radio, Internet Radio, we're going to find you.
Right.
Okay? Right. The same down here, Seneca County
Seneca County Radio, or you can also Google our call letters, which is WTSC, but we don't have call letters. It stands for Wonderful Tiffin in Seneca County.
And yours is We're Port Clinton Radio. We're going to find you where?
ToledoSportsRadio.com.
Mike Jamison, Keith Hodkinson, Greg Pfeiffer. Thanks very much for being pioneers, really, in keeping us on the leading edge. Now, we are back with more right after this.